You wake up, no alarm, not because you set it that way, because the alarm was the first thing that left when the money arrived. There is no meeting you have to be at, no boss who needs an answer, no inbox that owns the first hour of your day. The morning belongs entirely to you. This sounds simple. It isn't simple. Most people have never experienced a morning that belongs entirely to them. They've had vacations minus mornings that feel free because something else is waiting. But this is different. Nothing is waiting. Nothing will ever be waiting again unless you decide it should be. You are 44 years old. You have $400 million. Nobody knows. This is what a Tuesday looks like. You make your own coffee, not because you can't afford someone to make it for you, because making your own coffee is the first decision of the day, and you've decided you want to own it. The kitchen is not large, not by the standard of what you could afford. It's the kitchen you chose because you liked the light in the morning minus a specific quality of light at a specific time of year that you noticed on a Tuesday in March and decided was worth building a life around. The house cost $2.4 million. You paid cash. The real estate agent assumed you had a mortgage. You didn't correct her. You sit at the kitchen table, the same table you've had for 11 years. It was $340 when you bought it. It's been repaired twice. It wobbles slightly on one leg. You could replace it. You don't want to replace it. This is the first thing people misunderstand about silent wealth. The money doesn't make you want more things. It makes you completely indifferent to what people think of the things you have. The wobble stays. You read for 90 minutes, not a summary, not an article. A book minus the kind that takes 3 weeks to finish because you let yourself read slowly and think between paragraphs. You stop when you feel like stopping. Nobody is waiting for you to be done. This is the second thing people misunderstand. They think $400 million buys speed, access, the ability to do more things faster. It doesn't. It buys slowness. The luxury of time is not the ability to fill it. It's the ability to leave it empty. You have a friend minus had a friend, really minus who, made $12 million selling a company at 38, and promptly filled every hour with meetings and deals and plans and boards. He is busier now than when he needed the money. You watched him do it and understood something. The money didn't free him. He brought the prison with him. The prison isn't the job. The prison is the belief that you are only real when you are being useful to someone. You put that down at some point. You don't remember exactly when. You just remember one morning noticing that nothing was scheduled and feeling something that took you a while to name. Relief. You drive yourself, not a Tesla, not a Range Rover. A 7-year-old Volvo that you bought, used because Volvos are safe and reliable, and you've stopped caring about what cars communicate to other people. You go to the grocery store, the same one everyone else goes to. You put things in the cart. You pay. The cashier doesn't know. The man behind you in line doesn't know. The woman who nearly took your parking spot doesn't know. This is not a performance of humility. You're not proving anything. You're just doing errands because errands need doing, and you found that doing ordinary things in ordinary places keeps you connected to the texture of the world in a way that matters to you. You know people at this wealth level who haven't driven themselves in 8 years. You understand the appeal. You also understand what it costs. When everything is handled for you, you stop understanding what things cost in the real sense, minus not money, time, friction, the small negotiations of ordinary life. You don't want to lose that. The parking lot, the cart, the line, these are not inconveniences. These are the data that keep you calibrated to reality. Your phone doesn't buzz with things you have to do. This requires maintenance. The absence of obligation is not a natural state. It's an engineered state. A set of decisions made years ago and defended since then against the accumulation of things that want your time. You have a family office, 4 people. They handle everything that would otherwise own your attention, minus tax filings, investment oversight, property management, estate planning, the quarterly calls with advisors. They cost $800, $0 a year. They are worth every dollar because what they buy is not service. They buy your ignorance of the things that don't matter. You used to manage your own investments, watched the accounts, made adjustments, read the quarterly reports. You don't anymore. Not because you don't care about the money. Because the marginal value of your attention on the investments is far lower than the marginal value of your attention on your actual life. The money will compound whether you watch it or not. Your Tuesday won't. Come back, you made that trade deliberately. Most wealthy people never make it. They become full-time managers of their own wealth, minus unpaid CFOs of their own lives, minus because releasing control feels like losing something. It isn't losing something, it's buying something. The most expensive thing you own is not the house or the investments. It's the Tuesday you're living right now. You eat lunch at a place nobody would write about, a diner, the kind with laminate menus and coffee that comes automatically. You've been coming here for 6 years. The woman at the counter knows your order. She doesn't know your name. You never told her your name. This is not affected modesty. This is privacy chosen deliberately. At $400 million, anonymity is not a limitation. It is an achievement. You have met people at this wealth level who can no longer eat in public without management. A detail, a driver, a person whose job is to handle the ambient problems of being known. They cannot walk into a diner. They cannot sit at a counter. They cannot have a coffee brought to them automatically by someone who doesn't know their name. They traded anonymity for visibility and then discovered that visibility is a cage with better furniture. You kept the diner. You kept the anonymity. You are the man at the counter with the coffee. Nobody is managing you. Nobody is watching. Nobody knows. That's not a failure of success. That's the whole point of it. You work. Not because you have to. Because the thing you work on is the thing you would do if nobody were paying you, minus which, functionally, nobody is. It's not a business. It's not a fund. It's a project that matters to you in a way that is almost impossible to explain to someone who still works to fund their life. When you work to fund your life, the work has a purpose external to itself. The purpose is the money. The money is the point. When the money is already there, minus more than you could spend, more than your children could spend, more than is rational to try to spend minus the work becomes something else entirely. It becomes the thing itself, not the means to the end. The end. You work for 3 hours. Nobody will review what you produced. Nobody will approve it or reject it or assign a value to it. You will decide its value. This is what creative freedom actually feels like. Not exciting. Terrifying. And then, slowly, after years of it, the most natural thing in the world, your oldest friend calls. He doesn't know. He thinks you did well minus sold something, invested smart, have enough. He has a general impression of your financial situation that is accurate in direction and off by approximately $380 million in magnitude. You have never corrected the impression, not because you're ashamed, because the conversation that would follow the correction is a conversation you have no interest in having. Money at this level changes relationships, not because the wealthy person changes, because everyone around them does. The way people speak to you shifts almost imperceptibly when they know. Something goes slightly formal. Requests become more carefully worded. Opinions become softer. The raw honesty that makes a friendship valuable minus the ability to tell you you're wrong, to disagree, to be careless with you the way only people who don't need anything from you can be careless minus that erodes. You watched it happen with the people who found out. You protected the people who didn't. Your friend calls to complain about his mortgage. You listen. You do not offer to pay it off. You say, that sounds genuinely stressful. Because it does. Because you remember. Because you are not going to be the person who makes his problems feel small by solving them with a number. You listen for 40 minutes. This is the most important thing you did today. You walk. No destination, no fitness tracker, no route. You walk because walking is the correct speed for thinking, and you have things worth thinking about. At some point in the last decade, you stopped trying to optimize the walk. Stopped tracking steps, or pace, or heart rate. Stopped making it useful. A walk that is trying to be useful is not a walk. It's a commute to nowhere. You walk for an hour. You think about things you don't have words for yet. You pass people who are also walking, minus some with purpose, some without, some on phones, some looking at the city, the way you're looking at the city. None of them know. You are indistinguishable from the man beside you. Same sidewalk, same sky, different balance sheet. The city doesn't know the difference. This is one of the last places where the number doesn't matter. A walk is a walk. The sky is the same sky. You are grateful for this in a way that would be very difficult to explain. You cook, not every night. Tonight you cook. The ingredients cost $68. The wine is $22. You eat alone. Not because you're lonely, because tonight you wanted to eat alone and you can. This is the freedom nobody talks about. Not the private jet, not the island. The ability to eat alone on a Tuesday, because you felt like it and answer to nobody about that choice. You have a partner, she knows minus approximately. The full number has never been spoken between you. The number is beside the point. What she knows is that the life is funded and the decisions are yours to make. She's traveling this week. You cook for one, you eat slowly, you don't look at your phone. Outside, the city is running its Tuesday. Traffic and deliveries, and the ambient hum of a million people with places to be. You have nowhere to be. Tomorrow you have nowhere to be. The day after that, this should feel like freedom. It does feel like freedom. It also feels occasionally, on certain evenings, like standing outside a window, close enough to see the warmth. Not quite the same as being inside it. You read again. The same book from this morning. The house is quiet. You've been thinking about a conversation you had 3 years ago with a man at a dinner. You weren't supposed to attend. He'd made substantially more than you over a longer period and had been living at this level of silence for almost 2 decades. You asked him minus at the end of the night, walking to separate cars minus what it was like. He thought for a long time. He said, you spend the first few years adjusting, shedding things. The performance of ambition, the performance of aspiration, the performance of having somewhere to arrive. You shed the things you were doing to prove something to someone who wasn't watching anyway. Then there is a long middle period where you're figuring out what you actually want, not what you wanted when you needed things. What you want now, that wanting is optional, he said. Most people never get to that question. They spend their whole lives wanting what they don't have. You get to spend yours figuring out what you actually want. He got in his car. You stood in the parking lot for a moment. You've been in the middle period for about 4 years now. You're starting to understand what you want. It's simpler than you expected, and harder to build than anything you made the money doing. You check nothing before bed, not the markets, not the portfolio, not the news. Your family office handles anything that needs handling. They have standing instructions for every scenario that can be anticipated. The scenarios that can't be anticipated, minus the ones that would require your actual judgment, minus you will know about in the morning. Nothing is urgent enough to steal the last hour of your day. This took years to believe. The first version of the money came with a compulsion to monitor it, to watch the number, to understand its movements, the way you'd watch weather when your flight is tomorrow. You shed that. It took longer than the money. You set down the book. You turn off the light. The city outside is still running. You are not. Tomorrow has nothing scheduled, not because you've given up, because you haven't decided yet what tomorrow is for, and the freedom to not decide is the last freedom, the most expensive one, the one that almost nobody buys even when they have the means, minus because the freedom to not decide feels, from the outside, exactly like doing nothing. And doing nothing is what we were taught to be afraid of. You are not afraid of it anymore. You wake up, no alarm, $400 million. Nobody knows. The morning belongs entirely to you. You've tried to explain this to people, not the money, minus the feeling. The specific texture of a life where the obligation has been removed, and what's left is just the days, arriving one at a time. Each one yours to use or waste or sit inside without accounting for it to anyone. They nod. They don't understand, not because they're not intelligent. Because you can't understand the removal of a weight you've never put down. You've been carrying something since you were old enough to understand that you needed to earn your place in the world, that your value was your productivity, that your worth was your output, that a day without contribution was a day that needed explaining. You put it down. The putting down was gradual, not a moment, a practice. Years of slowly releasing the need for the day to justify itself. Now the day just is. Tuesday. Coffee, a walk, lunch at the diner, your oldest friend on the phone, dinner alone. A book you're taking 3 weeks to finish, $400 million. Nobody knows. This is not the life they show in the magazines. This is what it actually looks like when the money is real enough that you stop performing it. A Tuesday almost exactly like yours, except nothing is waiting.